Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Tech Sports Report. I am your host, Matt Jenkins, and boy, have we had a busy week of Arkansas Tech athletics. We were away last week, but we're back this week, and we have a jam-packed show for you guys this afternoon. Starting with, this past weekend, the Arkansas Tech Golden Suns tennis team hosted the GAC Individual Championships. The Suns found success in singles play as Annabelle Rollins drops this shot in the first round of the Flight 5 bracket to advance to the championships. Rollins then took care of business against Oklahoma Baptist Caroline Abbey to win the 5-set singles championship 6-1 to 6-1. Haley Long followed up with winning 3 matches in the Flight 6 bracket to come away with the singles championship, knocking off Oklahoma Baptist Alex Morales and Henderson State's Alexander Coelho and Southeastern's Maria Martinez. In the Flight 7 bracket, sophomore Maria Vlaskina won 4 grueling matches, including pulling out a 9-8 victory over Harding's Aaron Young in the semifinal, and then an 8-6 championship victory over Southeastern's Conchi Asigo. The Suns also came away with the winner in the doubles bracket as Long and Vendela Suico won a pair of matches to take home the Flight 7 doubles championship. Some other notables to take away from the tournament: Cami Ward claimed 3rd place in the Flight 4 singles bracket. Rollins and Teresa Sanchez came away with a 2nd place finish in the Flight 2 bracket, just barely losing to the championship match 9-8 to Southeastern Oklahoma. And the Flight 3 pairing of Ward and Megan Bell claimed the 3rd place spot in the consolation final victory. The Arkansas Tech Golden Suns volleyball team tried to advance to 4-0 in conference play, taking on a much improved Henderson State Reddies. The Suns struggled out of the gate, dropping the first set and had to rally in the second set, tying it up at 25-all on this kill by McCall Wilkins, but ultimately dropped the set 27-25. The Golden Suns rallied in the 3rd set with a monster kill by Hunter Eschner to take that set 25-21. The Suns got off to a hot start in the 4th set as well, with this kill by Lauren Rodemers to take a 7-1 lead. However, the Suns would ultimately lose that set and drop the match 3-1. The Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys football team hit the road this past weekend to Magnolia, Arkansas to take on Southern Arkansas. Unfortunately, the Wonder Boys fell to Southern Arkansas 28-21 on 2 tough SAU defensive stops late in the ballgame. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have starting offensive lineman Trey Martin for the Wonder Boys joining us here on set to talk about the upcoming game against Henderson State. You're watching the Tech Sports Report.
I knew Arkansas Tech had an impressive history,
but I didn't know that my professors would look out for my future.
I knew I'd be throwing fastballs on the field, but I didn't know I'd be on the fast track to physical therapy school.
I knew my art professors had years of experience, but I didn't know that I would get real-world experience before graduation.
I knew Tech was close to home, but I didn't know it would feel like home.
Tech has one of the highest graduation rates in the state. Come take a tour of campus and discover what else you don't know about Tech.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Welcome back to the Tech Sports Report. I'm your host, Matt Jenkins. I have senior offensive lineman Trey Martin. Trey, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I'm glad. It feels like football weather outside right now with the cooler temperatures and not 90 degrees like it has been.
For the big guys, it feels wonderful. Best time of year.
You got a huge game this weekend against Henderson State. You're in the middle of a big 4-game swing with probably some of the top 4 teams in the GAC right now. Henderson State comes to Thone Stadium this Saturday night at 6 p.m. A tough opponent, no doubt, but I'm sure, and the whole team would agree, being at home inside Thone Stadium is a big plus for that football team.
Absolutely. I think, the past year and this year included, we're 7-1 at home. We're going to try to make that 8-1, but Thone Stadium is a great place to play. The fans are wonderful. I think it's the best place to play in the GAC.
You ain't kidding. Henderson State, always tough. They're tough offensively, tough defensively. What do you think defensively the Wonder Boys need to do just kind of to slow down the Reddy offense, because they're known for putting up points in bunches?
They are indeed. Their run game's always strong, and I think the defense is going to focus this week on stopping the run. We definitely have the ability to do it, just go hard in practice and put your nose down.
And you're one of the big guys in the middle for the offensive linemen. Henderson State, a very strong defense, especially this year, carrying over from last year. For an offense of you guys, really predicated on timing, a fast pace, really moving quick. What do you need to do, or what do you think the offense needs to do to keep the ready defense on their toes a little bit?
I think we need to be able to run the ball on first and second down. We've got to be able to get in a third and shorts or get first down to get that pace going. So that's what we're going to try to do all week. And
I know last week against UAM, you guys had nearly 250 yards rushing, so I'm sure you want to see that carry over into this next game. Ty Resner, the starting quarterback, is out for the rest of the year with a broken wrist. In-stepping Jabaius Cross. Has some experience himself, played a lot in the green and gold game this previous fall and a little bit last season. He's been there before, but what changes now that you have a new starting quarterback, kind of not necessarily the halfway point of the season, but we'll call it the halfway point?
Well, anytime you have someone different under center, the dynamic changes as a whole offense, but we're still going to be ourselves, and we have a core system we've always had in place, and we're going to stick to our guns.
And I think Jabaius Cross, and I'm sure you'd agree, brings that running threat. Where Resner was more of a pocket passer and could throw the ball in any spot you want, Jabaius Cross can do the same, but he adds that running threat that you see so many college football teams across the nation have, that running threat of a quarterback.
Jabaius is so athletic, and he presents, a bunch of problems for defenses in the fact, like you said, he does have a good arm, but he also is just an incredible athlete, and it's hard to contain him.
So what would you want to say to the Wonder Boy Nation? Make sure they come out this Saturday to Thone Stadium.
We need a lot of help this week. Thone has been one of the best places to play probably in the nation in Division II, and we need to keep that going, and we're putting in the work this week, so you guys can come put in the work on Saturday and cheer us on.
Absolutely. And it is Family Day here this Saturday at Thone Stadium, too. But before we let you go, we've been doing this with several of the players that we've had here on the Tech Sports Report, just kind of get to know them on a personal level. So I've got a couple questions for you. How long have you been playing football?
I've been playing football since I was 6 years old.
So throughout all that time, is there a favorite number that you always wore, like in Pee Wee football, high school, up to now, or?
Favorite number? I'd probably say 48. I wore that my entire Pee Wee career. That's the number my grandfather was in high school,
Okay,
and
cool.
so I've always looked up to him.
Awesome. Favorite player, college or NFL, you name it?
College or NFL, that's tough. I kind of like Roberto Garza. He's a center for the Chicago Bears. He played Division II football,
awesome.
And he's played for a long time, done very well for him.
That's cool. I wasn't expecting that. Favorite memory as a football player?
Favorite memory as a football player? I'd probably have to say the bowl game last year, coming off a good season, and then we were able to put the exclamation point on it with that win. That was big.
I'm sure that was really cool for you, just getting to go to a bowl game, the first one for Tech in several years. I'm sure that's a good one. I'm sure you'll remember that for a long time. UFC, where everybody knows who Conor McGregor is because
Absolutely.
You see him all over social media just being himself. Mm-hmm. How long, and you can be honest, everybody's been honest about this, how long would you last in an octagon with Conor McGregor?
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say that I would last the first round, and
there you go.
Early in the second, I'm probably done.
You lasted longer than I probably would. Any Wonder Boy football team, any football player, that you would want in your corner? Let's rephrase that.
Okay.
In that Conor McGregor fight, if you had to have someone in your corner cheering you on, or as backup, who would you want in your corner?
Probably Demetrius Ford.
That boy's tough.
He is very tough.
And then your last one, everybody has their favorite pump-up songs that they have in their iPods, pre-game, post-game, you name it. What is the one song that just gives you goosebumps to get you pumped up for Saturdays?
I'm kind of unique. I don't listen to music before games. I like to get focused. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say TNT by AC/DC.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So what gets you pumped up since you don't necessarily use it? Just kind of being in meditation? Or?
Yeah, naturally, I kind of get pumped up when we go out there. So hearing the fans scream, running out there, running through the tee, that gets your adrenaline going. So before the game, I really like to get focused on what I have to do.
Absolutely. That's cool. Well, Trey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the Director of Athletic Communications on set with us, Paul Smith. We'll be right back. You are watching the Tech Sports Report.
Are you a Tech sports fan? Then it's time for you to get rewarded with the Fight On Rewards app. Check into Tech athletic events to earn points and redeem for awesome prizes. You can also interact on social media, fan polls, and post pictures through our fan cam. The app is now available for free through the App Store or the Google Play Store. Looking to get the inside stories of Arkansas Tech athletics? Then be sure to subscribe to Tech Talk, the official podcast of Arkansas Tech Sports. Available for free right now on iTunes.
Being a champion takes more than talent, more than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
Welcome back to the Tech Sports Report. I'm your host, Matt Jenkins. I have Director of Athletic Communications, Paul Smith. Paul, how are you doing this afternoon?
Matt, I'm doing fantastic.
Can't complain with what's happening outside with the weather. It's football season. It's just a great time to be alive.
Matt, I'm a Michigan guy, so this weather is perfect for me. I've always felt like football's sweater weather, so this is getting more into my comfort zone.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive right into it. Before we dive into what we're going to talk about, let's talk about you, because a lot of people may not know what actually goes on in the life of Paul Smith and kind of what makes Arkansas Tech athletics all come together, where it's a football game, volleyball game, you name it, it goes through your office. Just talk a little bit about like what's a day in the life of Paul Smith like?
Well, I don't know that there is any routine day. I will tell you that what we do is we oversee the public relations for the athletic department, the communications effort. So whether it's the website, newspapers, social media, that sort of thing comes through our office. We also kind of oversee the game day operations. So it's, if you see the event go smoothly, it's a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that people don't notice that we try to make sure goes off without a hitch. I've got a tremendous student staff, and of course we've got just great staff all through the athletic department that go in on that effort and make sure that our game day is an event and help us make some memories for our fans.
And I think just working in the athletic department myself for about the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of schools really respect what your department does when they go from school to school, and then they come to Arkansas Tech, and they really appreciate kind of like what you and your staff really put together for them.
Well, we try to make this a big time experience, not just for the visitors, but for the student athletes as well. But I don't want to take anything away from anything that the other schools are doing, because I think that in our league especially, we've got some tremendous people putting on great events, so I feel very fortunate to call them colleagues.
Absolutely. Well, the main reason I wanted to bring you here today, you were a big reason in getting the new podcast, and if you've been watching the Tech Sports Report, you've seen some commercials talking about the new podcast, Tech Talk, and you were the big part of getting that, getting kind of the genesis of that going. Where did this idea come from, and kind of how it got started?
Well, I feel like when it came to listening to podcasts, I was a little bit of a late adopter. But in my trips with the football team, the basketball team, sometimes you get tired of listening to music. So I'm trying to figure out what other content's out there that I can listen to. And I started downloading some podcasts. And, I will tell you that some of my favorites are Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, some of the old pro wrestling guys, a lot of the news podcasts. And, on these long trips out to Oklahoma, you can listen to a lot of them. But as I thought about them, and I kind of went back to my radio background, I thought, we could do something like this for Arkansas Tech. So I took a look at what some other departments were doing. And while I thought it fit what they were trying to do, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I mean, you saw a lot of very brief 5-minute podcasts where it's like, let's recap the week. I didn't want it to get repetitive, and I felt like we had so many interesting stories within the department, not just now, but going back historically, that really deserved a little bit more of an in-depth look. And I thought, we could use that as the avenue to kind of feature some of these things that people may or may not know about. So it gives a look at some historical things, but I think it's also going to give us a chance for people to get to know our student athletes better.
Absolutely. And it kind of just, you touched on it too. I mean, your first episode, you had Sam Strachner on there, the voice of the Wonder Boys. And throughout the first 5 minutes, just talking about some of these stories that nobody's ever heard before. And, I mean, some of them are absolutely fantastic stories.
Well, and I think a lot of people wouldn't believe the stories if they hadn't been through them. And, Sam and I have had the good fortune of knowing one another for a long time, gosh, almost 20 years at this point. During my days back as a student at UAM and his days as a student here, our paths crossed a long time ago. So we've seen a lot of these stories. We definitely had a good rapport, and, Sam was just a natural choice for the first one, because I think when it comes to some of these stories at Arkansas Tech, who better on this campus, who knows more, who's seen more, and being an alum who really has a deep love for this institution, who better to kind of relate those.
And you've had a very stacked lineup as far as guests. You're up to your 6th episode.
Just finished number 6.
And it was Eddie Metter, Wonder Boy football great, NFL great. What can we see upcoming for the podcast here in the next couple weeks?
Let me tell you, Matt, those things, we don't line them up too far in advance, and I think the reason we do that is because we want to be flexible. I mean, we've got a lot of people here on campus who we can talk to, and I think there may be some times where we have something happen during the week where it's time to pull in a student athlete, but there are no shortage of people on my wish list for people we're going to talk to. I know we're planning to talk to Kelly Davis before too long. I'd like to visit with Coach Leon Anderson, who's still in the area, played here, coached here. Just so many people around who I think have some great stories to tell, and we're always open to suggestions too. Absolutely. So that's kind of how the Eddie Metter thing came about. We found out he was in town on Friday. We lined up the interview for Monday, and it just it was a good stroke of luck for us.
Where can people find this podcast if they want to tune in and listen?
Podcast is available on iTunes, so you can subscribe through there, through your iPhone app. You can also go to the ArkansasTechSports.com website. We push it there just as soon as we make it live.
And I highly recommend you guys to listen to it. And I know a lot of people have really been enjoying this.
Well, and we subscribe and rate it because that helps us as well.
Absolutely. Switching gears for a minute, we'll have just a little bit more time. You were involved in a very historic event in inducting the 1991-92 and 92-93 Arkansas Tech women's basketball team into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. A tremendous honor for the athletic department and for Arkansas Tech as a whole.
Well, you know, we have probably, I would say, one of the most storied traditions in women's college basketball here at Arkansas Tech. And it's been one that has been sustained. You look back at the origins of the program with Coach Jim Yeager, Coach Jim Dickerson. You know, a lot of people look back at Coach Foley's time and think that was the genesis, but Coach Foley would go back and say, you know, he took over a team that went to the Final Four the year before. And even since Coach Foley has left, I mean, you look at the success the program has had in recent years, it's just a tremendous thing that they've been able to do and keep going here. And I think it's a credit to the coaches, it's a credit to the student athletes, but you know, that night was about these two national championship teams, and to this date, only teams in the state of Arkansas to win back-to-back national titles. So a tremendous but well-deserved honor.
And I'm sure that night was one you'll remember for a very long time, just with all the faces that came back. And
I'll remember it. You know, I didn't have the good fortune of being around to see those teams, but a lot of people came back who were, you know, great fans of those teams, and it was a really nice, really meaningful night, I think, both for the coaches and the players. You know, a special treat, too. We had the old UAM coach, Alvy Early, who's a good friend of mine for a long time. He came back to talk about those teams, and it was one of those things where, you know, on one of the podcasts, we had Coach Marvel from Central Arkansas. So it gave us a little bit more perspective on just how good and just how special those teams were.
And you mentioned it just a minute ago, really kind of paved the way for the Golden Sun basketball program as a whole. And the success, like you said, has been very sustained throughout since 1991-92, all the way until last year with that Golden Sun basketball team that got as high as, I believe, 7th or 8th in the country, I think, or maybe even higher.
It was pretty high. You know, success is hard to reach. It's harder to sustain. And so you have to take a look at what has been done, particularly in the years since we've gone Division II, and just kind of, you know, you shake your head in awe at what they've been able to do. And I think Coach Dave Wilbers has done an amazing job with this program. He continues to do an amazing job with the program.
Real quick before we wrap up here, Arkansas Tech going to football. The Wonder Boys taking on the nationally 7th-ranked Henderson State Reddies. It's going to be a tough matchup. What do you think some keys for the Wonder Boys need to be to try to come away with a big upset victory?
Well, I think the biggest key is being able to contain the offense of Henderson State. And I think our defense is up to the task. I think we've got a very solid defense. I think offensively we're going to be learning some things and doing some things differently. Ty Reasoner was injured last week. Jabias Cross will step in as starting quarterback. And he is such a dynamic player. I think it's going to look a little bit more similar to what we saw last year with Arsenio Favor in that spot. You have somebody who's going to have that a little bit more of a running threat. And with the running backs we have, I think I've always said it's kind of an embarrassment of riches because we have several running backs who I think could start for any program in this conference. And if we're able to get the running game going against Henderson State, we're going to have a fighter's chance. And, you know, we play at home. We're going to have a good crowd for Family Day. Don't underestimate these Wonder Boys because we've got a lot of heart. We've got some great players. We've got an outstanding coaching staff who's going to have these young men ready. You know, I think you have to look at Henderson State, and it's just they've been the big dog the last several years. So it's not just us, but I think every team in the conference is looking at that date on the schedule and circling it and getting ready for it. I have no doubt we're going to be ready on Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to follow along to that game, live video, audio, stats, the whole 9 yards will be available on ArkansasTechSports.com. That's all the time we have with Paul. Paul, thank you so much.
Matt, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Tech Sports Report.
I knew I'd follow my heart into the Arkansas Tech nursing program, but I didn't know I'd fall in love with the campus.
I knew I would check out international business, but I didn't know I could check out a mountain bike.
I knew Tech had plenty of degrees that matched my interest,
but I didn't know I wanted to study pre-med.
Or pre-law.
I knew Arkansas Tech had an impressive history,
but I didn't know that my professors would look out for my future.
Tech has one of the highest graduation rates in the state. Come take a tour of campus and discover what else you don't know about Tech.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's will you.
Welcome back to the Tech Sports Report. I'm your host, Matt Jenkins, and it is now time for our Fight On Rewards Fan Poll Question of the Week, brought to you by Superfan U. This week, our fan poll question is, with the Wonder Boys hosting number 7 Henderson State on Saturday, Tech will be looking for its second win against a ranked opponent since 2009. Tech defeated a ranked opponent last season. Who was that opponent? Was it A, Ouachita Baptist, B, Harding, C, Henderson State, or D, Eastern New Mexico? Again, you can answer this fan poll on the Fight On Rewards app, available for free from the App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android devices. And now we're going to take a look ahead to the upcoming week of Arkansas Tech athletics. The Golden Suns volleyball team will travel to Arkansas Monticello tonight for a Great American Conference match. That match is set to begin at 6 o'clock p.m. The Suns will have a quick turnaround on Friday as they will host St. Edwards, with that match set to begin at 3 o'clock p.m. There will be video, audio, and live stats available on Arkansas Tech Athletics website, and that is arkansastechsports.com. So make sure you check into there if you cannot make the game. The Golden Suns tennis team, coming off a strong showing at the GAC Individual Championships, are also back in action this weekend for the ITA Regionals being held in Oklahoma City. On Saturday, the Golden Suns cross-country team will return to the course after being off last Saturday. Tech will participate in the Chili Pepper Festival in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That race is set for a 8 a.m. start time and will be held at the University of Arkansas off-road course. As we talked about earlier in the broadcast, the Wonder Boys football team will be hosting a huge contest against the nationally 7th-ranked Henderson State Reddies on Saturday. Kickoff for that game is slated for 6 o'clock p.m. at Thone Stadium. And again, if you cannot make it to the game, live video, live audio, and live stats will all be available at arkansastechsports.com. The Wonder Boys golf team returns to the course next week and will look to build upon their Northeastern State Classic victory as they travel to Hot Springs, Arkansas on Monday for the Henderson State Fall Invitational. That tournament will be held on Monday and Tuesday at the Hot Springs Country Club. The Golden Suns golf team also returns to the course after having the last 2 weeks off, as they will participate in the Central Oklahoma RCB Classic. That 2-round tournament will be held Monday and Tuesday at the Fairfax Golf Club in Edmond, Oklahoma. To round out our upcoming schedule, the Golden Suns volleyball team will be hosting a triangular tournament next Tuesday. The Golden Suns will open up with a meet against Philander Smith College at 1 o'clock p.m. and follow that with a match against William Baptist at 5 o'clock p.m. And with that, we've reached the end of our Tech Sports Report this week. As a reminder, for all of you watching, the Tech Sports Report will now be published on Thursdays instead of Wednesday afternoons. It'll be now published on Thursday afternoons all across Arkansas Tech Athletics social media pages. You can also view this Tech Sports Report every Friday morning at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock a.m. in the morning on Arkansas Tech TV. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Matt Jenkins, and we will see you guys next week right here on the Tech Sports Report.